All right, so it's 3 p.m. and we are all set to begin with our today's webinar. In today's rapidly evolving world, effective leadership has become more crucial than ever before. As technology advances, societal values shift, and global challenges emerge, leaders are faced with unique complexities and unprecedented demands. Leading people in the current times requires a combination of adaptability, empathy, and visionary thinking. I welcome all our participants to this exciting series where HRAI, along with Great Manager Institute, brings before you the 2023 Dialogue Masterclass series on the topic Leading People in the Current Times. Great Manager Institute conducts a Great People Manager survey in India and have come up with the list of top 100 managers. And the recognition is powered by Great Manager Institute, where we are fortunate to have 5 managers from the esteemed list who would be sharing their success stories, mantras, hits and misses, and achievements over leading their team in current times. To know more about HRI and its and Great Manager Institute, I would request all our participants to visit the link posted in the chat window. I request all the participants to kindly follow the webinar guidelines mentioned in the chat window. It's my privilege to introduce our masterclass speaker for today's session and would also like to congratulate him on this achievement. Mr. Sandeep Chetri, CEO, TradeIndia.com. Mr. Sandeep is currently serving as the CEO at TradeIndia.com, India's leading online B2B marketplace. An alumnus of IIM Kozhikode, he holds over 20 years of experience spanning across product management, technology, and people management. He has recognized among Your Stories 100 digital influencers of 2020 and has recently bagged the title of being one of the top 100 CEOs of India 2022 by Startup Lanes and Business Leader of the Year by Ascent. His biggest challenge and achievement have been growing an 8-member team to a company of 2,500 plus employees. Alongside, he has always endeavored to share his experiences, not just with his employees, but also with the industry at large through various platforms. Such knowledge sharing opportunities led him to be recognized as an emerging voice for extensive writing on the recovery and survival of Indian MSMEs in the post pandemic world. Harnessing the power of innovative thinking, he works very closely with startups to guide them with whatever experience and knowledge he has gained. He strives to create a more diverse and inclusive culture where everyone has the opportunity to learn and thrive. His mission is to empower Indian MSMEs achieve self-reliance and help them embrace digitalization. You can follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. So without wasting much time, I will hand over the platform to Mr. Sandeep to take this discussion forward.
Thanks, Faisal, for such a long introduction of mine. First of all, before I start, let me thank GMI and HRAI for giving this opportunity to speak with the upcoming and the future leaders of tomorrow. Second is specifically GMI for recognizing me as one of the top 100 people managers in India. And I would also suggest everybody in all the participants, to also go through the GMI survey this year, because it's a great survey which they do, which is a survey which helps you understand from your team, from your colleagues, from your peers, what is the expectation, what are the areas you need to work on. And the insights which you get from those survey really helps you to be the next people manager. So with that, let me just share my screen and just
You're on mute, Mr. Sandeep.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, audible, and your screen is visible.
Screen is visible. Correct. Thank you. So this is a very interesting topic, leading people in the current times. And its last 2 decades, there has been a lot of learning which, has come up, for me specifically. There are a lot of reasons, but the time which is currently, I would like to say this is one of the best time in terms of the entrepreneurship, in terms of learning and upskilling. I have not seen such a best time because the technology development has, grown tremendously. If I talk about maybe 10 years back or 15 years back, when we were learning, when we were, shaping our career, we didn't have that much of opportunity to learn. Yeah? So but if you ask me that is it very easy right now to lead people in currently, I would say it's very difficult. Just because you have a lot of diverse kind of people, and when you have different diverse type of people, it's very important that how you use the right strategy as a leader and a manager to ensure that you bring right productivity and performance from your team. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I'm Sandeep Chetri. However, Faisal has given a long introduction, but I always, keep my introduction very short. So I'm responsible for the driving growth of Trade India. So as simple as that. So that is all about me. So before I start, I would like to ask few questions. Let be more interactive. I will, we are very happy if people will, put their whatever I ask some questions, maybe they can just put it on chat. It will encourage me to, understand the audience and also have more detailed discussions, where exchange of ideas and thought process during this whole session. Okay. So I really love this, what Bill Gates has said, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Okay. So why it's empower others as a leader, as a manager, typically this is one area which we really have to work. And you will hear a lot of people talking about this, in different sessions, in different forums, when it comes to people, that you should know the first thing which you should know is to how you can empower others. So what is the reason behind that? Why you should empower others is if you empower others, then you will grow in the value chain. But if you not empower others, then you will not be going to grow in the value chain. And ultimately, when you are empowering others, you're building a good team. And I always tell that it's team which wins. It's not an individual. Okay. So for a team to win, you need to, as a leader or as a manager, okay, you need to build a very, very cohesive and collaborative environment where you are empowering a team to deliver the results. Okay. So this is why I really, like this saying of Bill Gates. So as we start, I just wanted to ask this question to all the participants, to please, if you can put it on chat, are you a leader? If yes and no, I just want answer and yes and no. So if you can just help me with this, just yes and no will work. So if I encourage all the participants to write yes and no. Okay. So this will also help me to understand how we as a team, this team which we are talking about today, is engaged. Okay, because more engaging the team is you will be able to pass on that energy within the team. Okay. So Faisal, I don't think I'm able to see the chat, I believe.
No, no, the chat box is very well there.
Okay.
We'll just wait for the participants to answer on the chat.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I think yes. People are still joining, I believe. Anyway, so that's why I'm asking this question, are you a leader, is very critical. Because until and unless you don't know that what is the kind of leader you want to be, what kind of manager you want to be, okay, you will not be able to work on those areas. So this is what effective leadership is all about, Effective leadership is all about understanding the signals, when you think about that you are a leader or not, okay, then only we'll be able to work on those ideas and areas where you need to improve to be the people manager. Okay. So what are the areas? One is internal signal is very, very important rather than an external signal. We always focus on external signal. When I say external signal, specifically, for example, you will look for a lot of videos, lot of, those content, a lot of, sessions or webinars where you learn from the other leaders. But most important is how you learn from your capabilities within the job which you are doing. When I joined this company 20 years back, I had no idea. I come from a technology background, but I had no idea how to build a team. But today, as we speak, we have built a team from 8 people to almost 2,500 people team, because that situation leadership helps you to build it. Okay. So first you have to understand the internal signals. First is B. What kind of leader I want to be to remembered as, that is very, very important. Therefore, you should also know what should I do and what I should need to do to become that leader. And finally, is basically, then I will have a sense of how to contribute to the success of the others. Again, it's about empowering others, right? So if you know this, then it becomes very easy for you to be a people manager and grow within the value chain. So this is one I've realized that in this last 20 years that this is one difference people fail to understand when they grow as a leader. So leading versus managing, because when you grow from an executive to a manager, you still do those work which you used to do as an executive. That is where the realization comes in, so leading versus managing, if you know the difference, then you will understand as a leader where you need to work on. Okay. So one is leading is basically setting a direction versus planning and budgeting. Okay. Second is aligning people. So I'll also give example of, if everybody follows IPL, then how MS Dhoni, Chennai Super Kings, they aligned people, his team within the, whose responsibility is what, who's will be bowling, who will be, doing a fielding, who will be, going on the last over to ensure that the, run is getting accelerated, so on and so forth. So aligning people is very, very critical as a leader rather than organizing and staffing. Okay. And finally, motivating people, influencing the people, influencing with your leadership qualities where they can look after you and they will perform under you. So leader should always motivate, but typically what people do is they start controlling and they start solving the problems rather than motivating the people. Okay, so there's a difference between a leading versus managing. Yeah. So how do you define a good leader? There's a question, but I think I'm not able to see the chat box, but anyway, this is how you should ask yourself, how do you define a good leader? Is a good leader primarily is somebody who can who looks at empathy, sympathy, or who helps you to grow within a career, or somebody who mentors you, or somebody who can coach you. What kind of leader, how do you define a good leader? Okay, so I'll give you some traits of a good leader. And when you go in from a leadership, your value chain, well, I'll come to this slide later, but more on this. A good leader should lead with integrity. That is very, very important. A good leader should retain and develop talent. Manage complexity. When it comes to complexity, is all about, there will be conflicts within the team. There will be a lot of other things, where a leader should be able to manage this, seamlessly. And also lead the change. It has been, we realize that when we, as a stakeholder, create some strategy which is not comfortable, which will make the team uncomfortable, we have seen that the change management becomes very, very difficult. Okay, when we develop a process. Okay, so this is where a leader, good leader, should always first accept that change and then deliver, and also put this within the team how they can do this transitional change. Okay, and finally, the most important aspect of a good leader is having a entrepreneurial mindset. Why entrepreneurial mindset? So we in an organization, we always call our stakeholders as CEO as a service. Why we see a CEO as a service is basically we help these leaders to take decision like a CEO, so that they can which have this, growth mindset, and they can lead the organizational change. Okay. So a good leader should have a character. What are the 4 characters they should have? One is, leading the organizational change, having a good interpersonal skills, has the personal capability to influence people, and finally focus on results. But typically when we look at good leader, we think about good leader should be, friendly, helpful. But these are the characters a good leader should have. Okay. And in order to do this, when you move across the value chain, okay, you should do this transition. What are the transition you should look at? One transition is, instead of seeking power, empower people. Instead of seeking control, you should free yourself so that you can think on the strategy side of it. Instead of being served, you should serve people. Okay. And you should have a strong sense of essence and courageous. You should be very, very courageous. These are the transition you should do. So why courageous? Because when we grow from an executive to a manager or a senior manager, the decision making is very, very important, because now you have to take decisions. You might fail. That is very much, in my 20 years history, I've taken a lot of decisions where I failed. But you should not shy away from taking those risks. So I always believe this philosophy of failing fast and move on. Why failing fast and move on? Because failures helps you to learn from the mistake, but ensure that you are not repeating that mistake again and again. So for a good leader, you should have that, sense of courageous, decision making. Okay. So this is a very interesting pipeline, I would like to say a leadership pipeline, which I have gone through. Okay. And this has really helped me. And I always explain this to our colleagues, our fellow entrepreneurs and leaders across different forums, why we should go through this different, pipeline, and what is that roles and responsibilities you should look at when you grow on the value chain. So I'll take a little bit of time to explain this pipeline, and this will really help you, in your growth. The first transition is all about, managing yourself to a managing others, So when you grow as a step 1 leader, so the biggest challenge in this transition, which I see, that you have to learn, you have to learn to let others do work instead of doing it yourself. So this is a typical problem. When you get a promotion, you feel that, oh, let me do everything myself. The project is getting delayed. I know how to do, because you are being promoted because you know the work very well. And you are being asked to lead a team. Okay. But this is one biggest mistake when we do in this, when we transit, from a executive to a manager. We try to do everything ourselves, but the first thing we should always do is you should always empower other people. This means also to, you should learn to plan, delegate, and learn to judge the performance of others, because people who are often promoted to this layer because of their exceptional knowledge of their current role, there's a risk that the new manager will compete with each other team members also, and then start doing that micromanagement. Okay. Second transition is basically leading managers. So when you grow from a manager and to become a senior manager, or you become a business head, for example, you have to lead a lot of managers. And in that case, the most important skill you need to learn here is to be able to build a good team of managers, rather than building the whole team, but a good team of managers. Because so that you yourself become, and have less of work, but your work will be more on developing those team members and asking them to delegate the work to their team members. Okay. Third is basically from leading a manager to becoming a functional manager. At this level, the most important aspect is you have to look at long-term perspective, how you can build the strategy for the growth of the company and work on the business model. So, every layer has a different work as a manager. But I have seen even within our organization also on different organizations and the startups where I've been mentoring, biggest challenge is that everybody is doing everything. The role they have been given to play, like I say in cricket, if somebody's role is to be an all-rounder, he should perform as an all-rounder, okay? Or somebody's role is to, be a bowler, he should be doing very good in bowling. But if you do both, and you are not able to, perform, like you feel that, no, I can do batting also, I can do bowling also, I can do everything. And the captain, if the captain thinks like that, I will do everything, I will do wicket keeping also, that doesn't work. That's why there is always a team. So this is one problem which I have known is there when you grow in the value chain. And the finally is basically from becoming a business manager to a group manager, where you become a CEO of the organization, then your focus will be more on building the network, building, talking to the stakeholders, building strategies, bringing in investments, and of course, finally building to taking care of the well-being of the employees of the organization. So every pipeline or every leadership pipeline has the old roles and responsibilities which we need to understand and work accordingly. So with that, let me take you through the kind of best practices we do in our organization. So there are 6 principles which we follow in our organization, and I'll explain you one by one what are the principles which we follow. Principle 1 is to communicate effectively. This is very, very important for a manager and also for the stakeholder per se. So when I say communicate effectively, first is, have a clarity of purpose and vision of the organization, So the purpose, vision, core values of the organization from top to bottom should know, and it should be consistent. So that communication should go from top to bottom in a consistent manner. So for example, Trade India, our vision is to enable 63 million SMEs in India. And this vision, all the employees knows this vision. And we ensure that our sales team, when we talk to the customer, they also talk about the vision. And with that vision, we say that we will make this SMEs digitally successful by providing technology. And that is what Trade India is doing today. As we speak, we have more than 1 crore SMEs which we have helped them to go digital. In India, there are 63 million SMEs, 10 million we have already enabled. Second is communicate clear expectation. Okay. This is one area where the managers have to take care of. Typically, it happens, in some of the organizations where we see, or even within such smaller departments, or where the departments who are working in silos, they don't keep clear expectation from their team members. And ultimately, when it comes to the yearly performance review or the appraisal cycle, they said about, hey, we rate you so low just because in 1 year, these were the areas which you didn't work well. This really demotivates the team member, and you will never be able to build a good, high performing team. So once you communicate the clear expectation in the form of KRAs and KPIs, you will be and give that feedback, that constructive feedback every month or every quarter to your team member. Where are you lacking? How you can improve further? Then you will see a lot of improvement and the teamwork which happens there. Sorry, I'll just stop here also because I'm just been speaking. Just can you put it on chat? Does it make sense till now what I'm speaking? Are you able to all hear and listen me? Because it's a one way which I'm all talking. If somebody can just put it on chat. Yes, no. If you yes, okay. Thanks, Sam. Because I'm just speaking, so it's just taking a confirmation there. Thanks, Sam, for this. Yeah. Third important is listen actively. This is the biggest other challenge which I can see. We should always lend our ears, not lend our views with our team members. Typically, we see that if when you become a manager, you put your views more than listen to your team members. Listen to your team members, solve their problem, understand their challenges, work with them closely, overcome the challenges with a collaborative way together. Because there's a saying, together we can do more, individual can do less, right? So actively, listening of your team members is very, very important. And I just said, sharing constructive and progressive feedback every time. Try to give a feedback in such a way that they show the improvement, and be consistent across all the communication which you send. You should not send, if you're sending one communication to, same communication in different way to different team members, that also creates a conflict within the team. Yeah. So as an organization also, we ensure that we follow some communication framework, we follow a communication framework in such a way that the content and the communication which go throughout our team across 41 cities in India, it's all the same. Yeah. And for that, what we do. So the practice which we do today is OKR. That is, I don't know how many people know about this framework. It's an objective and key results framework which we do. What it does is all the team members in working at one OKR tool, and the company's objective is being written there, and this objective is broken down to smaller objectives and passed on to all the across all levels in the hierarchy. So what it does is, so everybody is working across towards one goal. So all the teams are aligned. We have a clear and measurable goals. The most important is measurable goals. We foster a culture of continuous improvement. So every week, people, they put their feedback that what is that improvement they have done, what worked well, what didn't go well, and what are the call outs they would like to do, so that they can improve for the next OKR review. So these three areas which we discuss every week, and that helps us to measure the progress, and most importantly, it also helps the executive and the leaders across the value chain to have a growth mindset. Okay, so this is a very excellent tool. If you guys are not using it, try to use it. Most of the top 500 companies, even Google, Facebook, and these companies, they use OKR framework. Okay. Second is leading with empathy. Yeah. So as a leader, you should understand the other feelings and emotions. I can see a lot of leaders, they reject, their team members' vacation or leaves. If they're sick, they will call them, no, show me the proof. Send me, the proof on WhatsApp. You should not do that. Okay. And plus, you should always look at what kind of, the emotional, mental or emotional, health of that particular person. So I'll give you one example. Okay. During pandemic, specifically when the first lockdown started in April, I had no idea to run the business, to very frank. I had seen demonetization, I had seen recession in the past, but this was new to me. I had no idea, because we work for SMBs, and SMBs were all shut down. So, and our business is mostly comes from the SMB of India, right? Then for 10 days, we had zero revenue, no revenue at all. And I had no idea. And then what I thought one day, let me speak with my team. I called all my team and said that, and I was very, very expressive there with my emotions, saying that, hey, I don't know how to run the business now, because it's a very difficult time. This is the first time we are facing such difficult times. And I also don't know how the revenue will come. But one thing I know, that if we as a team can work together proactively, using technology and working hard, and make people understand the value how digital can bring, and they can still do business online if even the lockdown is there. then we will be able to bring some success. And it was a very, very emotional time for us in that particular discussion when we had a lot of emotions was pouring in. And one thing which happened with this emotional and with the kind of, emotional intelligence, I would like to say, when I was very true to my team. Everybody said that no matter what, we are with the company. And they voluntarily, in fact, they voluntarily say that if required, we don't want to take salary as well. Just imagine, okay? But we will ensure that we'll bring business for the company. And to everybody's surprise, even during the April, the first lockdown, we were able to do 50% of the revenue we wish to do in a normal month, where companies were laying off. The companies say that we will not be able to give you salary, but we were able to do 50% of the revenue. And within 2 months' time, we just say that okay, we will be hiring 700 more people. Just imagine. And this was the power of the kind of emotionally attached the team was. So that is what it's, you lead with feelings and emotions, Create a stress-free environment. And this is very, very also when ours is a self-driven company, and not only self-driven company, any team which you have, if you create an environment where people can speak out, people can, talk freely, even the agreement and disagreement can happen, then that team will grow. So how to do that? In order to do that, you have to work in such a way with the team where you do a lot of engagement activities, So we do fun at work. Early morning, there are a lot of fun and work activities which happens on our different offices across all the offices in India. And what we have done is, in order to do that, we have invested in L&D and invested in engagement. So we have a team who does this. Typically, there are companies who consider training and engagement team. They don't consider them as an asset, okay? But we consider them as an asset because that creates a stress-free environment and where people are having fun at work. Understanding, employees' mental well-being. Today, we went through very difficult times. It's very, very critical. And the most important aspect is you as a manager should give that option of, to give that platform where they can talk about it. And this is very, very critical for your team performance also. When they don't talk about mental well-being, okay, then the performance will not come. You will feel that somebody is very sad. There might be a lot of stress because he's not able to perform. Yeah. So what we do is we do a lot of sessions. I'll share that also. What lot of sessions we bring in external, trainers. We do a lot of one-to-one sessions. We do group sessions, and so that if they're not able to share with us, can they share with somebody in the coach which is there, who can talk about it, why mental health is important, what are the things you need to do. So I also always speak about, as a leader, I always speak about the biggest investment you do is on yourself. Invest on yourself. When you say invest on yourself, is invest on your health, invest on upskilling yourself, and invest on, spending time with your family and friends. So these are some of the investments I talk about. Why this is very, very important for your mental well-being. And share if you have something which is, keeping you stressed, talk about it with your colleagues, with your friends, or with your family. It doesn't take, so you have to, people feel afraid to share those things. Please, I suggest to share if there is any stress with your friends and family. And finally, don't be judgmental. We become a lot of judgmental, when we see somebody with their, the way they speak or the way they dress, lot of things. So you should always, as a manager, you should always lead with empathy. Okay. And as I said, we do in our organization, we do this mental well-being session, lot of sessions which happens so that we keep, encouraging our team to speak about it if they have any problem. Okay. Third is different strokes for different folks. So what is different spokes? I know because in an organization you have a diverse culture. You have new employees, you have female employees, you have experienced employees, you have employees coming from different language, culture. So we as an organization do a lot of different aspects. For example, for new employees, we have a buddy up program. For a teammate, we have something called RAM, raise and accelerate managers performance. So we have a team, we have a something called the Champions Club. So where all the performers are being appreciated and recognized, and they get privileges if they are in that particular club. Yeah. So we try to build something, so it's not that there is one kind of strategy for different all sets of people. We have step up program. What is step up program is that there are team heads, and they are very promising and they want to become a branch manager. So we have a program for that where a lot of training happens. What you should do if you want to become a branch manager, what are the areas you should look at. So a lot of programs which goes on to build this people engine. Okay. So and also, what we do is, this is a very good one practice which I would like to say, and which has been very, very successful in our organization, is ask a performer. So what we do is every day, in fact, this is every day, there is 1 hour, the performers, he becomes or she becomes online on video meeting. Okay. And anybody can join and ask this performer. Okay. What it does, the performer shares about the case study, how he is able to convert, and what is his experience and learning. And what it does is it helps their peers to learn from them, good practices from them, but also it helps this particular individual to upskill and become the future leader. Yeah. So this is a very good initiative which helped us to build more performers in the organization. Okay. The fourth principle is aspects of leadership. These are the different aspects which we look at, okay, specifically in the leadership. So we create the vision, we co-create the vision together. It's not that only the CEO or the CXOs or the team, they sit down and create the vision. It's the whole team. We sit together, we take suggestions from them and create a vision. As I said, we nurture leaders of tomorrow, the step up program. So we ensure that we identify that we have a very, very good process in a performance measuring process in place. We identified those kind of people and we nurture them for the tomorrow, and to make them a future leader. We ensure that we take an opportunity to appreciate those people as in whenever we get that opportunity. So not only appreciate them, we also appreciate their family members. What we do, we have built a technology in such a way that our mail goes to that particular performer every month, and also a mail goes to their family members thanking them that thank you very much for your support, and because of your support we as a trainer were able to grow, and your son or daughter were able to perform, and we value their support. So this really helps to create an environment where both the family members and the employee, they get motivated. Okay. So a lot of mentoring and coaching sessions happen. So we have external and internal coaching. So mentoring and coaching is something people, they tend to avoid. Okay. People feel that this is like waste of time because it's a sales driven organization. Focus is more on sales, but our emphasis on a lot of mentoring and coaching. Okay. And finally, we encourage a lot of learning and growth. So when I say learning, there are two initiatives which we take. One initiative is helping employees to take any certification, and we sponsor those certifications. Second is there are a lot of certifications which are free. We encourage them to take those certifications, and if they take the certification, we also appreciate them in the form of giving some extra in terms of appraisal or some goodies. So appraisal is basically, if they do lot of certifications, we say that hey, even in your appraisal, there's 1% or 2% will get added just because you have done this certification. But why we encourage them? Because whatever learning do in the certification, they apply during the job, which helps in terms of quality, which helps in terms of productivity. Yeah. And this is one practice we do in terms of learning. Our practice, I've initiated this something called CEO of the day. So CEO of the day is, we pick up any one performing person, irrespective of any designation. It can be an executive also, who's doing really good, 600%, kind of, target or he's achieving. And we say that, okay, hey, you be a one-day CEO and run the business like a CEO and take decisions like a CEO. Okay. So why we try to do that is first to motivate him, to bring in more responsibility and accountability, prepare him for the future leadership and valued. And in this process, it's not that we just, give them, we also guide them. I also guide them how they should take the decision. Okay. And this has been a great success for us. Fifth is level of communication, this is one more critical aspect. Okay. When you communicate, there are two types of, I always, break this into two. One is social level and other one is emotional level. So to give you an example of social level is the factual level. I'll give example of factual level. So there is one, so let's consider there is a strategy, one strategy which our, the stakeholders wants to drive within the organization. Typically what managers do is they just forward that strategy with the team and say, hey, from today you need to follow this strategy. This is the biggest mistake we do as a manager or a leader. The job is to first demonstrate before delegate. When I say demonstrate before delegate is your communication should go or demonstrate with factual insights so that they believe in that strategy and they try to deliver that particular strategy and they try to work on the strategy. But typically we just forward that communication and that people might read, people might not read, and ultimately the success of that strategy is dependent on that, how it goes down the level, and it doesn't work because our level of communication was not the right way. And another one, emotional level, which I give an example, if you have to communicate, you should always emotionally, it always works. And we had done a lot of content on this. We did a Father's Day. If you get a chance, go to YouTube and just search for Father's Day campaign of Trade India. We ran a campaign on Father's Day, which was more emotionally attached. Okay. And it was a huge success. Okay. So the communication as a leader, you should look at these aspects, how you send, how you communicate the right messaging to your team members in the right way. Okay. And this is one way of communication example which we do is that the unmatched very appreciate the old employees within the organization in the anniversary. So they are being valued. And then they get so motivated with this. Not only they, because the whole organization knows about it, that, oh, hey, Vivek has completed 11 years in the organization, or Sunil has, completed 18 years in the organization or 16 years in the organization, and people start sending them congratulations. They feel so valued. Okay. And when employees feel valued within the organization, they perform better. Yeah. And finally, reward and recognition. As you know, so Zig Ziglar he's an American author. He said that research indicates that workers have three prime needs: interesting work, recognition for doing a good job, and being let in on things that are going in the company. So one is transparency, recognition, and interesting work. So in our organization, we ensure that people are being appreciated and rewarded every month. We have a revenue employee recognition across all the cities in one time. We do that. We do the certification. Okay. And we ensure that first week of every month, this is being given to all our employees who are good performers. We don't delay on that. And this really helps in increased job satisfaction and engagement. It helps in reduce attrition, the most important aspect. People tend to be part of this engagement every month. There are so many employees which I can see they have got this recognition 12, times in 12 months. So it improves team collaboration and morale. And most important aspect is if your employees are happy, it translates to improve your customer experience. Okay. So this we should, as a manager, we should try to recognize your team members whenever possible. It's not that you have to wait for the organization to do that. Typically, we have seen in companies where they say that the organization to karta hi nahi hai, they are not doing it. I'm also not doing it. It hardly takes an initiative, just to create a certificate and recognize your team member. Hardly any cost at all. But we don't do that as a manager. Try to do that. That will really help you to build a good team. Finally, in this difficult times, what is that changing landscape which I can which a little bit this is my last slide. In this changing landscape of leadership and people management, innovation and adaptability is very, very important. So to foster a culture of innovation, like it should be a situation leadership. You should create, and encourage creativity. Do spend some time with your team members. As now we work in a remote and virtual work, you should ensure that how the well-being of your team members who are working virtually can be taken care of. And the most important aspect is diversification. Inclusivity and diversification is very, very important. Have a team and diverse team. Diverse team doesn't mean male and female employees. Team from different culture, religion, language, so on and so forth. Yeah. And finally, this is like we have already known these leaders. I'll talk, just quickly so that Abraham Lincoln, he was one of the most approachable leader, open door policy. He used to ask, low rank subordinates can come and talk to him. Okay. Or we know Ratan Tata, known to make decisions quickly in difficult situations. Jeff, he was very popular in empowering his team members. Okay. Sundar Pichai, collaborative and innovative. Okay. And you will be surprised, I've added this Henry Ford. Henry Ford, I don't know how many people know about it. He was known for his dictatorship style. Okay. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that his style is bad. Okay. It was a unique style. Okay. But for me, I'm embracing these qualities every single day. I have a very, very open culture in my organization. My door is always open. That any people, even an executive wants to meet the CEO, my door is always open. My ears are always there, open for them, so that I can listen to them. But my idea of sharing with is that if you only take care of these aspects, I think you can become one of the, nobody can stop you to become one of the top people managers, not only in India, but the world. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening me, and happy to, take questions if any. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. So before we move into the Q&A session, we will be running a poll. While doing so, request all the participants to kindly post their questions in the chat window. Once again, I thank all our participants for joining our session today. We have received a lot of inquiry about the participation e-certificate offered by HREI and GMI. You can claim your e-certificate by sharing your details, name and session attended in an email to the email ID provided in the chat window. Please ensure you do this by end of the day today. We will email the e-certificates to you based on the details received. So, Mr. Gandhi, we have received some questions from the participation. I'll just call it out to you. Yeah. So the first question is, how can leaders effectively delegate tasks and responsibilities while ensuring accountability and maintaining team cohesion? That's a question.
Okay. So it's a good question. As I said, it's very important that to delegate the work. Okay. How I typically we do in our organization is, first we understand the objective of that particular work and ensure that the story, we write all the story points of that objective and give that to our team members, delegate that work, that these are the areas, these are the expectation of this work, and this is the outcome. So what we do is outcome, and then we write the actual impact, the impact and the actual impact. Okay, once we do that, so they understand that what is that they need to deliver out of the work they have been given. One, okay, and we measure this work using our OKR tool again. So we use this tool to measure that the progress of the work week on week and give them a feedback on what they are doing. Yeah. So I think it's a cheat sheet which we have to create. Yeah. And instead of going and asking them day to day, it's better, you monitor them and do a weekly review. Yeah. And if it's and again, I would like to one more thing, if it's a big task, break this big task into 90, 60, and 30 days task. So when you break this into 90, 60, and 30 days, you know that what is the one which you have to be delivered and what is the areas, 4 areas. So we write 4 points for everything. Like what are the 4 things we will be doing in these 30 days and next 4 things in next 60 days and 90 days. So that helps you to make the expectation very clear with your team members. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for this insightful response. The second question is, what strategies can leaders employ to address and manage conflict within their teams and promote a harmonious work environment?
So I'll give you a very humorous answer is go for a coffee with that particular person. Both the person with the conflict is go with them for a cup of coffee in a very, very informal way. Because when you speak formally, you will not be able to solve the problem. Okay. So and the best thing that does is, and that's why in India, the chai cafe is very, very popular, right? Outside the office. Yeah. Why? Because what you can't speak within the office, you will go and you'll do all this chit chat there, right? Yeah. So I always suggest leader go and have a tea with them in that chai cafe. Yeah. So that's on the human side, but to be very frank, on the other side of it is it's a job of the leader to ensure that to work on the conflict as well. The complexity is there. Sit with them, understand what led to that conflict, and ensure that you bring both the team members where the conflict is, and solve the problem then and there. Rather than extending that further, and give them a peace of mind that it's their problem, they have to solve it themselves. You as a leader can only go there and talk to them once and try to solve the problem, but it's their job as a leadership. When you have a leader in place, specifically leadership role, it's their responsibility to ensure that they solve it themselves. Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. We'll go with one last question, that is, how can leaders support the professional development and growth of their team members, even in a remote or hybrid work setup?
So today, because of the technology, there are a lot of things you can do. First, try to understand the areas you have to work for that particular person. Okay. So of course, there is something called balanced scorecard model. Very, very interesting model frameworks which are there, which you can read about it. There are star model. There are a lot of models which is there where it gives you a very clear picture where what are the areas you have to work on. But first thing is you try to understand the balcony. So there is a Gallup, learning. There is a balcony and there is a basement, right? Try to understand what is the balcony, what are the strong points of that particular team member, and then what is the basement of that particular team member. Once you know that, then work on those basement first. Okay, work on those areas. What are the learning you need to give? So somebody is good at problem solving, but it's a basement, so you if you say something positive, he talks of negative about that particular thing, then I think he will be more good at testing. And just give an example, because if you give him a testing job, he'll find the problem faster, because his job, he always thinks that anything you do, he will find something wrong about it, right? So find that first. Second is, you have lot of tools today. You have LinkedIn Learning, you have Udemy, lot of tools today where you can give them. You as a leader have to search as per that problem statements, and then give them these courses where they can do, guide them also, and create a roadmap for the learning. So we create a whole roadmap for the whole year, that what are the areas he has to work quarter to quarter, and give them those learning tools, and we measure that again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for this intriguing session. Your presentation was very insightful and thought-provoking. There are many takeaways from this session, like the 4 characteristics of a good leader, how to transition from managing self to managing others, situational leadership. So I'm sure our participants have had a lot to learn. And this session would not have been possible without Great Manager Institute, where we are privileged to be working with them on this series. Though we all know about GMI, I would want to welcome Ms. Anukhi Gamre from GMI to talk more on the institute.
Sure. Thank you so much, Faisal. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep, for such an insightful session. And congratulations once again on being recognized as one of the top 100 great people managers of 2022, right? So hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Inoki and I'm a part of the customer success team at Great Manager Institute. I'll quickly talk about our organization and how do we actually recognize the top 100 great people managers through a great people manager study, right? So allow me to share my screen and I'll walk you through the process and the outcomes in detail. I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. So, Great Manager Institute is a sister concern of Great Place to Work India. So, we hyped off a reception entity back in 2018, wherein we realized that while Great Place to Work was focusing on recognizing the best workplace, we realized that people managers are the biggest drivers of organization practices and employee experience. Hence, it is extremely important to assess these people managers at every organization. Therefore, we came up with our proprietary framework of Connect, Develop, Inspire, which helps us assess people manager effectiveness at various organizations, wherein we have about 20 odd parameters that we cover under this framework, which helps us evaluate the areas of strength and focus of individual managers. All right. And so we enable line managers in 3 different ways, that is insights, impact, and recognition, wherein we collect insights for every manager. We share it with them. We have a learning and development journey for these managers. And every year we publish the list of top 100 great people managers in Economic Times. And we also recognize the large organizations as leadership factories of India and the mid-sized and small organizations as top companies with great people manager. And we're also associated with National Human Resource Development Network that helps us classify the people managers at your organization. So I'll also show you as to how do we recognize these managers quickly a second. Yeah. I'll just share my screen. So in Economic Times, we have dedicated 2 pages wherein we publish this list of top 100 great people managers and leadership practices of India. Apart from that, we also have a dedicated microsite on timesascend.com wherein we have published this particular list. All right. We also share a top 100 great people manager badge with all the winning managers, which they can leverage on their social media platform. And we also publish the list of CEOs and CHROs. So as you can see here, if I scroll down, we have recognized separately all the CEOs and founders and managing directors as one of the 2 business leaders in the top 100 list. Right? And any manager, be it a first-time manager to the CEO of the company, can participate in the study and they get an opportunity to get recognized. Right? So I'll stop sharing. I will also paste my email ID and my contact number in case anyone of you wants to reach out to me to know more about this particular study. You may do that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Anoki, for letting us know about Great Manager Institute. And thanks for the benefits extended to the HRA members. Thank you once again, Mr. Sandeep, for this beautiful session. We would love to host you again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Vijay. Good to be.
Thank you so much, all the participants, for joining us today. Do join us for our next masterclass by Gopali Rawal, Senior Manager HR, Disney Star, on 28th of June, 2023. That's it from our today's webinar. Hope to see you soon. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Thank you, Anki. Bye.